Good afternoon. The time is now 3:30 p.m. I call to order the April meeting of the Rules, Enactments, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee of the Orange County Legislature. This meeting is being transmitted live via video conference. I remind all participants to make sure they have turned off their microphones or mute them on their iPad, tablet, or computer, please, especially while not part of the discussion. Also, please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. Thank you. The public can find a link to this video cast by visiting the Orange County website, and that's www.orangecountygov.com. Clicking on the tab for the legislature and locating the Rules Committee meeting on the calendar. At this time, I would ask that you please rise for a moment of silent reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I ask you that if you would, please keep in your thoughts and prayers the families of Carla Simmons and Sarah Bush, Paul Van Horn. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. God bless America.
Thank you. Doreen, would you please call the roll?
Amo.
Here.
Benelli.
present.
Cheney.
Here.
Hines.
Here.
Kulisek.
Here.
Paduk.
Here.
Zero.
Here.
And Fagion.
I'm here.
All present.
Thank you, Doreen. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. For continuity purposes, as we go through the agenda items, I'll ask those whose business it is before us to speak on those agenda items. I will then turn to the members of the committee for their questions. Next, I will ask other legislators not on the committee if they have additional questions. And that being said, we'll turn to the agenda. At this time, I ask you to take a note to agenda item number 1. And joining us here this afternoon is a fellow colleague, legislator Kathy Stiganga. She's the chair of the Economic Development and Gaming Committee. And I'll seek a motion and a second on the following. And this is a resolution appointing Benjamin Osler to the Board of Directors of the Catskill Regional Off-Track Betting Corporation pursuant to Section 502 of the Racing, Parimutuel, and Wagering and Breeding Law. And I need a motion and a second.
I'll motion, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Second, Vera.
Benelli, second.
Motion by Mr. Amo, second by Mr. Vero. Legislator Stiganga, are you here?
I am. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
The floor is yours.
As most are aware, I believe you all have received Mr. Oster's resume and his request for this. We did have the meeting for the gaming and economic development. Ben Oster's name was put forward, and after not a lot of discussion, but a lot of discussion and going over his criteria and his resume, his name was seconded and he was passed unanimously with the support of the whole committee to send it to your committee.
Outstanding. Thank you, Chair. And I appreciate the fact that once again, our staff does a great job of providing us with the detailed information, including, as always, attached resume. And that being said, I'll open it up to questions from committee members. The first hand raised I see is Mr. Amos. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to support it. I really believe that's a great appointment of Mr. Oster to the OTB committee, OTB Board of Directors. We all know that the way the Catskill OTB has been floundering for the last few years, it has not been much of a benefit to our county, and we have to get to the bottom of this and figure out what it is that can help us be more effective and receive more reward from it as designed by the way it was set up. I've told some of you that I've checked with some other OTBs, and I can tell you from the statement from Capital OTB that each of their counties this 2021 will receive $3 million, I was told by their management staff. And we know for the last 2 years, we've received nothing. So I think it's time for a change, and I think Ben and Mr. Oster is the right placement to do that for us. So I'm glad that he's coming on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amo. Next, I have Majority Leader Benelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to add that I think we would be remiss if we did not recognize the former person that did fill this position on our behalf, and that's James Townsend. He served since 2002, and unfortunately, he has passed away. He left some big shoes to fill. He had a very good legacy, and I think we should thank him for his efforts. And I don't see any better way of recognizing that legacy than putting in somebody such as the caliber of Benjamin Ostra to fill this, what is now becoming a very important thing because of the changes in OTB in New York State. So I do support the appointment, and I do recognize Mr. Townsend for his work.
Thank you, Majority. Thank you, Majority Leader. And next we have the chairman himself, Chairman Brescia.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, and I'd like to just acknowledge Chairwoman Kathy Stiganga, Michael Amo, and Katie's been involved a little bit too, and Langdon Chapman for bringing this forward. I think Ben is a good choice to express the concerns that Michael's expounded over the last few months and his concern. He helped craft a letter for me to send to Don Groff too about our OTBs, our lack of revenue, and other concerns, and that was sent off to Don Groff. And by the way, yeah, I agree with Katie. James Townsend was certainly a leader in Orange County, former chairman of the legislature, very knowledgeable, very researched over the years, and intellectual like Michael Amo, and did a lot of good things for our counties. But yeah, it's definitely a concern, and I think those concerns, if we can combine with the Catskill region, I mean the Albany region, and other creative ways to help us regain some of that mega money that we've lost over the last few years is going to be a good thing. So I thank you individuals that helped bring this forward. And I missed the last OTB meeting, but I know I'm kept apprised by you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Not seeing any additional hands raised of committee members, I open it up to other legislators joining us here this afternoon. And not seeing any additional hands, I will call the question then. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you all. Next, I ask to the table from the County Attorney's Office, Damian Brady is joining us this afternoon, and I'll seek a motion and a second on the following. This is a request to create 2 Associate Account Clerk 2 positions. One position will be grant funded and will be abolished upon the cancellation of such grant funding. The other position will replace the vacant fiscal manager position. This is legislative request number 050. And again, I seek a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Amo with the motion. I'll second that myself. And just for reference, on Monday, this passed unanimously in Chairman Vero's P&C committee. That being said, Mr. Brady, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, Mr. Chapman would have liked to have been here, but he is in an election law proceeding in the Supreme Court, so I am pinch hitting today. With respect to this, there were 2 positions. I'll go backwards. The grant funded position is for indigent legal services funding for the management of the Harrell Herring grant, which in total over 5 years is about $23.8 million. And in addition, there is several distribution grants and state funding which is received and distributed in combination to the Legal Aid Society and to the 18B panel for funding. So this position would be created strictly out of grant funding. This is already being negotiated and put into the final budget for what's known as year 3 Harrell Herring funding. The Harrell Herring funding last year was $3.1 million. For year 2 is now $4.7 million. It would be an upgrade of a position from $12,000 to the existing level, and believe that is going to be successfully passed. But if it is not, this position will obviously will remain unfunded and unfilled. The other position essentially is that more or less a change from the fiscal manager position to the account clerk position, and will actually generate a cost savings in our budget moving forward. Like as a fiscal manager position, starting we were at budgeted $82,961 plus benefits, and this position is going to start at $44,317.54 plus benefits. So essentially an effective cost savings for the office.
All right, very informative. Thank you, Mr. Brady. That being said, I'll open it up to questions, and I see Legislator Kulisek. Mr. Kulisek, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see that the one that is grant funded will be terminated if the grant goes away. The fiscal manager's job, which is now going to be an account clerk 2 position, is that going to be abolished, the fiscal manager's job in the budget?
The idea, Mr. Kulisek, would be to actually leave that vacant and unfunded if this position is created. The reason being is that we created the fiscal manager position as technically as an upgrade to this the position we're asking for now, and abolished the account clerk 2 position. And instead of coming back to you again in the event that an upgrade is needed, we just essentially would be having to come back to ask for more funding instead of creating a position again, and then we can vacate the account clerk 2 position that we're creating today. So it's really just a function of not having to come back again in the event that for whatever reason we need an upgrade. But at this point, we'd like to leave it the position created but vacant, assuming that this new position is created for us.
Okay, so we're going to create an account clerk 2 position.
Yep.
In addition to, and even though it'll remain unfilled and unfunded.
Correct. The fiscal manager will remain correct, but it will not. But it will not be funded.
End result, we're creating a position in the long run.
In theory, yes, we are creating a position, but in effect, we're trying to be practical here because, if we had done this the first time and created the fiscal manager position and just left the account clerk 2 position vacant and unfunded, we wouldn't have to come back to you and do this now. So we don't want to have to come back again. But obviously, the idea would be that we wouldn't be funding both an account clerk 2 position and a fiscal manager position moving forward. It would just be one of the two.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Kulisek. Any additional questions from legislators? Okay. Any legislators joining us this afternoon? Okay, not seeing any. I'll call the question then. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll turn to number 3. And joining us this afternoon is our colleague, Legislator Ruskevich. And Damien's going to stick around. And of course, me, the chairman, Tom Fagione. So this is number 3. We will be seeking a motion and a second for the following. And this is local law to designate Orange County as an eligible area pursuant to section 11-0935 of the Environmental Conservation Law in relation to a deer hunting pilot program. And this is legislative request number 060. I seek a motion and a second, please.
So moved, Cheney.
Kulisek, second.
All right, motion by Mr. Cheney and a second by Mr. Kulisek. And I'll start with the pinch hitter himself, Damien Brady. Sir, the floor is yours.
All right. So what the DEC has announced is essentially that it'll allow essentially New York is up until now was the only state that didn't allow 12 and 13-year-olds to hunt deer. Environmental Conservation Law 11-0935 is a temporary measure that will pilot lowering the age to 12 and 13 years old for those purposes through 2023. It includes the following provisions: allows 12 and 13-year-old licensed hunters to hunt deer with a rifle, shotgun, or muzzleloading firearm in areas that these firearms may be used during hunting season. allows 12 and 13-year-old licensed hunters to hunt deer with a crossbow during the times when other hunters may use crossbows, requires that these youth hunters be supervised by experienced and licensed adult hunters at all times, and requires that youth hunter and adult mentors to wear fluorescent orange or pink clothing and to remain at ground level while hunting deer with a crossbow, rifle, shotgun, or muzzleloader. That, in essence, is this proposition. We are opting in because that's the requirement, and the measure will expire absent further state legislation in 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. I'll call on Legislator Ruskevich. Paul, would you like to add some commentary?
Yeah, I think Damian covered the law pretty good. I will say that this is basically an expansion of the existing youth hunting program. Right now, 14 and 15-year-olds are allowed to hunt, under the same circumstances under the supervision of an adult licensed hunter. I believe it has to be a licensed parent or guardian, or the individual has to have written permission from the parent or guardian to be the supervisor. And so this basically just expands that to 12 and 13-year-olds. As Damian mentioned, this is New York's the last state that doesn't allow 12 and 13-year-olds to hunt big game with firearms. So, I'm an avid hunter myself. My son's a hunter. He's 16 now, so he can hunt on his own. But I went through the youth program with him, and it really is a great way to get young hunters interested in hunting and get them out in the woods. So that's why I call Tom to suggest that we take this up. So
Thank you, Paul. In related to that, I think many legislators have received some letters of support of this resolution, including one from Stephen Barden and James Grismer. I know I spoke to my local hunting club, which I'm a member of, the Tri-State Rod and Gun Club, and to a man, everyone was so excited about it. Just for reference, that in the state of New York, more than 550,000 New Yorkers and visitors enjoy the sport of hunting each year in our state. That being said, that hunting is a very important part of our upstate culture and conservation. License sales in the year 2020 revealed that there were big increases in hunting in participation in 2020. From 2019 to 2020, hunting licenses increased 11%. Bow hunting privileges increased 14%. And how about this? Junior hunting licenses increased 26%. So that is a very encouraging number that more and more youth are getting involved in a smart and safe way of going out into our community and into our nature and hunt. And so I fully support this, and I hope that my colleagues will do the same. That being said, I will open it up to questions. I see Legislator Cheney has his hand raised. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I think this is a super win-win for not only the hunters, but the safety of everyone. It adds 2 years to the tutelage these young people get under the direction of an adult in how to hunt safely. And it just seems like it's something that's long overdue in the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cheney. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, not seeing any. Any additional questions or comments from legislators joining us this afternoon? Not seeing any, then I will call the question. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you all. And last but not least, we have agenda item number 4. Joining us this afternoon is the Commissioner of Planning, Alan Sorensen, and I'll be seeking a motion and a second on the following. This is a request authorization to submit an application to the Hudson Valley Greenway for the amount of $25,000. The Hudson Valley Greenway Communities Planning Grant will be used to update the county open space plan. This is legislative request number 061, and I seek a motion and a second.
Motion, Cheney.
I have
Kulisek,
Mr. Cheney on the motion and Mr. Kulisek on the second. Commissioner Sorensen, the floor is yours, sir.
Chairman, thank you. We are in the process of submitting this application. We actually submitted it last year prior to COVID, and the state pulled back the funding. The funding is now available. In the interim, we had embarked on pursuing the update of the open space plan, utilizing, our in-house resources. We'll continue to do that. The Hudson River Valley Greenway grants do require a 50-50 match. Our match will be our in-kind contribution utilizing our existing staff resources. And if we're successful in this application, which I think we will be, we will also be partnering with the Orange County Land Trust. There's some very specific expertise that they have that we want to bring to the table in this open space plan update. And we're very excited to get this project underway.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. That being said, I'll open it up to questions from legislators on the committee. Okay, not seeing any additional questions from fellow legislators. All right, Commissioner, looks like you did a good job. And that being said, I'm going to call the question. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. And as they say, the table is clear. And that being said, I wish you all the best of an afternoon. Please be safe. There was some interesting weather this afternoon. And I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, well, be well. Take care, everybody.
See ya.
To
Thank you,
Chair and
Mr.
everybody.
Chairman.
Have a good night.